I'll never forget the day I saw my ex standing in front of a crowd, pitching my business idea as if it had been his all along. My stomach dropped. He was smiling, confident, and every single word coming out of his mouth was something I had written, planned, and dreamed of. That was my vision he was stealing. And worse, the crowd was eating it up, clapping, nodding, even handing him their cards. In that moment, I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. But I promise you, he had no idea who he was messing with. I'm Olivia, I'm 29 years old, and back when we were together, I thought he was my partner in every way. His name is Chris, and for a while, I believed he supported me, loved me, and wanted me to succeed. We'd sit up late at night and I'd share my ideas with him, the kind of business I wanted to build, how I'd do things differently, how I wanted to create something that actually mattered. I thought he was listening because he cared. Turns out he was listening because he wanted to take it for himself. When we broke up, it wasn't pretty. He called me unrealistic, said I lived in a fantasy world, and laughed at the idea that I could actually run a business on my own. Those words cut deep. For a while, I believed him. I second-guessed myself, wondering if maybe I really wasn't capable. But that little fire inside me, the one that had been there all along, it never went out. So I kept working, quietly, planning, sketching, writing things down in notebooks and on sticky notes. I was putting the pieces together, slowly, but surely. And then one afternoon I got a message from a friend. "Hey Liv, isn't this your idea?" she wrote, attaching a video. I clicked it and there he was, Chris, pitching my exact business plan at some local networking event. Word for word. Even the tagline I had come up with during one of our late-night talks. My hands shook. My chest burned. He didn't even bother to change it. It was a copy and paste theft of everything I had told him in confidence. And the worst part? People loved it. Investors, small business owners, they were lining up to talk to him afterward. My idea was finally being recognized, but not with me. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept replaying the video over and over, trying to wrap my head around it. How could he do this to me? I whispered out loud in the dark. He knew how much this dream meant to me. He knew it was personal. He knew it came from my heart. And he just took it. The next week, it got worse. His face started popping up in local news articles. Young entrepreneur launches innovative startup. I read every word in disbelief. That should have been my headline. Instead, I was watching my ex-boyfriend rise off the back of my hard work. One evening, I ran into him at a cafe. He spotted me, smirked, and actually had the nerve to walk over. "Hey Liv," he said casually, like nothing had happened. "Guess hard work really pays off, huh?" My jaw clenched so tight I thought my teeth would crack. I wanted to scream. Instead, I said, "You mean my hard work?" His grin didn't fade. He just shrugged and walked away, leaving me shaking with rage. That was the moment I knew I couldn't just sit back and watch him steal what was mine. But I also couldn't just rush into something careless. If I was going to take him down, I had to be smart. I had to be patient. By the way, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Anyway, a few weeks later, I got word that Chris was officially launching his startup. He had investors, a small team, and even rented an office space downtown. It seemed like everything was falling perfectly into place for him. For a second, I almost let myself spiral, thinking I had lost, that it was over before I even got the chance to start. But then something inside me clicked. No, this was not the end of my story. This was just the beginning. He thought he'd stolen everything from me. But what he didn't know was that I had been holding back. The real heart of my idea, the unique edge, the part that would actually make it work, I had never shared with him. And that tiny piece, that was going to be the difference between his rise and his fall. And when I finally decided how I was going to use it, I realized he had no idea the storm that was coming. I watched him for months. Quietly. I dug through every public filing, every social post, every little detail his new team leaked. I talked to people he'd hired. I listened to investors brag about their visionary buy. I kept a notebook, names, dates, weak points. He was good at the performance. Not so good at the paperwork. Not so careful with the little promises he made. He thought the front stage was everything. He forgot the backstage. Can you believe that? He signed contracts without reading them. He bragged about proprietary partnerships that were nothing but meetings that never happened. He reused mock-ups I had shown him, but he uploaded them to a cloud account linked to his personal email. Amateur mistake. Rookie move. A door opened, and I walked through. I'm not proud of how small some of my actions were. I set up an anonymous tip to a journalist who covered startups. I fed them dates and screenshots. I pointed out inconsistencies in his investor deck. I didn't lie. I just highlighted what he had tried to hide. The journalist smelled the story and started digging. People started asking questions. Investors began to pull at threads. Employees began to whisper. Meanwhile, I quietly launched my own version of the product, smarter, leaner, and built around the secret core he never knew. I reached out to one old mentor, someone who'd believed in me before Chris had mocked my plans. She introduced me to a lawyer with a soft voice and a hard mind. We filed for trademark protection on the parts of the idea that were uniquely mine. We documented everything. Every sketch. Every late-night note. Every message where I had pitched the concept. Paper trail. Paper trail. Paper trail. When my ex realized his email was compromised, he blamed an intern. Then he blamed the lawyer. He ranted publicly about sabotage. He posted angry videos defending his originality. He tried to gaslight people into thinking I was bitter. He threatened legal action. He even sent me a message calling me obsessive. I saved it. I screenshot it. He thought I'd back down. He thought I was just another ex who would stew and fade. Then his first investor pulled out. Then another. The whispers became articles. The customers he'd promised started canceling pre-orders. His rented office got quiet. The team shrank. He begged privately for help. He offered to pay me to make the damage go away. I laughed when I saw the offer. He was desperate enough to barter with me. Desperate enough to admit, in writing, that much of what he'd presented was borrowed. The final blow was a document he had signed, a partnership letter that referenced a strategy only I could have written. He'd signed it with a typo. It matched an early draft I had shared with him. That tie was legal. That tie was mine. My lawyer served notice. The investors who had stayed suddenly realized their risk. The office lights went out on his company the same week mine launched a small pilot with real users. He had Flash. I had Foundation. When he filed for bankruptcy, I felt a strange mix of victory and hollowness.
Part of me wanted to dance. Part of me wanted to cry.
I had spent so long wanting it to hurt him that I didn't realize how tired that made me. Revenge tasted like cold coffee at 2 a.m, bitter, necessary, not sweet. Now, months later, I sit in my little office with a team that shows up because they believe in the work. We are small, but we are honest. We build things people use. I learned a brutal lesson about protection and trust. Share your dreams, yes, but protect the heart of them. Do the paperwork. Keep records. And trust your gut when someone laughs at your plans.